psychological contract, a concept developed in contemporary research by organizational scholar Denise Rousseau, represents the mutual beliefs, perceptions, and informal obligations between an employer and an employee. It sets the dynamics for the relationship and defines the detailed practicality of the work to be done. It is distinguishable from the formal written contract of employment which, for the most part, only identifies mutual duties and responsibilities in a generalized form. Although Rousseau's 1989 article is highlighted by Coyle Shapiro was very influential in guiding contemporary research, the concept of psychological contract was first introduced by Argyris, 1960. Since the foreman realized the employees in this system will tend to produce optimally under passive leadership, and since the employees agree, a relationship may be hypothesized to evolve between the employees and the foreman, which might be called the psychological work contract. The employee will maintain the high production, low grievances, etc., if the foreman guarantee and respect the norms of the employee informal culture, that is, let the employees alone, make certain they make adequate wages, and have secure jobs. Psychological contracts are defined by the relationship between an employer and an employee where there are unwritten mutual expectations for each side. A contract defined as a philosophy, not a formula or devised plan. Characterizing a psychological contract through qualities like respect, compassion, objectivity, and trust. Chapman, psychological contracts are formed by beliefs about exchange agreements and may arise in a large variety of situations that are not necessary employer-employee. Rousseau 666. However, it is most significant in its function as defining the workplace relationship between employer and employee. In this capacity, the psychological contract is an essential, yet implicit agreement that defines employer-employee relationships. These contracts can cause virtuous and vicious circles psychological contracts can cause. Multiple scholars define the psychological contract as a perceived exchange of agreement between an individual and another party. Rousseau 665. The psychological contract is a type of social exchange relationship. Turnley and Feldman 25. Parallels are drawn between the psychological contract and social exchange theory, because the relationship's worth is defined through a cost-benefit analysis. Gaudier 151. The implicit nature of the psychological contract makes it difficult to define, although there is some general consensus on its nature. This consensus identifies psychological contracts as promissory, implicit, reciprocal, perceptual, and based on expectations. George 3. These psychological contracts can be impacted by many things like mutual or conflicting morals and values between employer and employee, external forces like the nudge theory, and relative forces like the Adams equity theory. Expand, Chapman.